Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's been a long time since I've made a video, but hi, hello, welcome back. Sorry if you guys can hear like construction outside. Anyway, today I'm going to be talking about books that I'm going to be reading for this year of 2021. I have a lot of books written down. I know I'm not going to be able to read all of these just because I keep making myself all of these goals every year of like certain amount of books to read. Like it started off with like I'm gonna read one book per month, and then it went to like I'm just gonna read 10 books this year, and then it went down to like okay, I'm just gonna like try reading 5 books. I still couldn't even do that, and then it went down to 4 books and I still wasn't even able to do that as well. And now here I am listing 21 books to read for 2021. I don't know what's going on with my head, but I'm feeling very ambitious, and I just thought, why not? Even though if we're not going to be able to read these, I'm still going to be able to like at least check a few off of this list. Anyway, like I said, I have 21 books to get through, so let's just get started. So the first book that I've written down in this list is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I actually started reading this book last month, and I'm currently on chapter 2 of part 2. So that's how far I've read. So this is the first book that I'd like to kind of get through this year. So far, I am enjoying it. I like how there's like a summarized like sentence on what the entire chapter was like about and like what he's trying to teach you. So I really appreciate that. The next book that I've written is Pinball 1973 by Haruki Murakami. I've had this book for so long, and I never even tried to start reading this, so I thought, you know what, let's try now. Let's try this year. So here we are. The next book that I've written down, you guys have seen this book before, and it is Lord of the Flies by William Golding. And you guys know that I started reading this book earlier this year, and not this year, oh my gosh, last year, 2020. I'm currently on chapter 5. I didn't get far with this book. I had to like abandon this because I was just getting like super busy with school, so I abandoned it, and I never went back to reading this. So I'm gonna be starting this from the very beginning again. I actually really like this book so far. From like what I've read, it's super interesting, and just like I really want to continue reading this because I was really enjoying reading it. The next book that I've written down is Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen something. I honestly don't know how to pronounce his last name, so I'm just not gonna say it because I don't want to butcher it. Like I've said in a previous video, I've watched the movie, I thought it was meh, and I've only heard good things about the book, so that's why I bought it, and I'm excited to read this. Okay, the next book is Franny and Zoey by J.D. Salinger. I don't know what to expect with this book. I have no idea what this book is about. I'm just coming to this with like no expectations. I'm just hoping that it'll be good, or like it'll be alright. The next one that I've written down is something that I've actually read before, and that is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I just decided to put this here just because during this Christmas break, there was this one time where the TV was on, and I think it was the second Hobbit movie that was playing on TV. I thought to like reread the book because I really love this book. I read this before the second movie came out. Speaking of Tolkien, the next books that I've written down on here is the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So I have book 1, which is the Fellowship of the Ring, book 2, which is the Two Towers, and then book 3, which is the Return of the King. I'm super excited to read these because I am a fan of the movies, and I didn't know that the movies were based off of like a book or like a book series. I didn't know that when I first watched Lord of the Rings, and that was like super long ago. I was still a kid when I watched those movies, and to this day I'm still a fan. I love the movies. They're so good, and I'm just excited to read the books because I've never read them. Moving on, I also wrote down another book that I've read before, and that is Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. This is going to be my 3rd time rereading this, and it's just like fun, pretty like short read. It's like pretty thin. So yeah, I just thought of rereading this because 1, I like it, but but also because the next book that I wrote down is Through the Looking Glass, and this is the sequel to Alice in Wonderland, so that's why I wanted to reread Alice in Wonderland again. Okay, moving away now from like fiction books, we're gonna go into some non-fiction. The first book that I wrote down is the Andres Bonifacio. I think this is part of the Bayani biography series written by John Ray Ramos and Xiao Chua. This is just something that I'm also really interested and excited to read about because I barely know anything about Philippine history and our historical figures, so I'm just excited to learn more. Okay, so keeping with like the historical theme, I wrote down Jose Rizal's infamous novels, which are the Noli Me Tangere and the El Filibusterismo. I've never read these novels before. I actually had a Rizal class last semester. I feel like everyone besides me has read the book in my class, and I'm just like, let me just see what this is about. I've never really learned about Jose Rizal. I didn't know like anything much about who he was, what he did. So when I did have that class, it was just super eye-opening. I got to learn about who he is, what he did, and his impact and how great it was in the country and also in other different countries. And I just want to read his infamous novels that sort of sparked the revolution. So that is it for all of the like historical kind of books that I'm going to be reading. The next book that I wrote down, this is called Double Cross by Mallory Blackman. This is actually the fourth book in the Noughts and Crosses series. I don't know like what's wrong with me. It's taken me this long to start this. Actually, I started reading this before, but then I abandoned it because I was just like not feeling it, and I haven't touched this book since. I just thought to add this in this list because for closure, I guess, to finally finish this series. Moving on, the next book that I've written down is The Art of Hearing Heartbeats by Jan Philip Senker. I've had this book again for the longest time, but I never bothered reading it. And the next book that I've written down, this is another book that I decided to check out. That is the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Again, one of those books that was just like recommended a lot by those kinds of videos, like I said, when I was watching like self-help books or like finance books and stuff. And then the next book that I've written down is called Every Exquisite Thing by Matthew Quick. As you can see, it's still sealed and it's like plastic. I was actually selling this, but then I was like, no one's really taking any interest in this book. So I just decided to read it for myself and then I'll sell it if I want to sell it. Okay, the next book that I've written down is the Miss Peregrines Home for Peculiar Children. My younger sister loves this series and I just never bothered like reading it just because it looks so creepy. That's why I didn't want to read this. This one is also sealed. I was also selling this, but no one was like really taking any interest, so just like never, you know what, I'll just read this for myself instead and then I'll see if I still want to sell it. Moving on to the next book, this is another one that I have read before. This is Midnight for Charlie Bone by Jenny Nemo, and I'm actually selling this book. I don't know why no one has taken any interest in this. Like I've mentioned in like a really old video, the Charlie Bone series is my favorite series of like all time. It may change after reading The Lord of the Rings, but who knows. And then the last book that I've written down on here is Kafka on the Shore by Haruki Murakami. This is the thickest book that I have added onto this list. It's super intimidating. Look how thick this book is. This is actually my second ever Haruki Murakami book. This was a gift to me by my mom. She knows that I liked Haruki Murakami, so she bought this for me. Hopefully, I'll get to read all of these books, but if not, that's okay. At least I was able to read more this year compared to last year, which is my ultimate goal. My ultimate goal for reading is to just read more in general. That's all I want to do, honestly, is to hopefully get back my love for reading, because I really did love reading when I was a kid, and then even up till like middle school I still loved reading, and then it sort of like dwindled away through the years, so that's like a little bit sad and upsetting, but through this hopefully I can get back into reading and, you know, and kind of find that love for reading again. So those are all the books that I've listed that I would like to read this year in 2021. Let me know down below in the comments what books you guys are going to be reading, and if you have any book recommendations, please leave them in the comments down below. I'd love to know what books you would like recommend for me to read, and if you can, maybe like include a little summary or like a little something that is like about the book that could maybe get me interested in reading it. So yeah, that is it. It's been so long since I've made a video, but this is just the beginning. This is just the start. I will be continuing on making more videos this year. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!